May 4th, 2026. Hello, I'm John Michael Chambers. This is a global financial reset special broadcast, strategies for retirees. So if you are a retiree, this series is being produced for you and also those that are very close to retirement, very critical stage. So Brandon Clarke focuses on retirement planning and is the founder of Triad Retire. triadretire.com. He has dedicated the majority of the past 15 years to serving his clients' insurance and financial needs. Triad Retire is committed rather to helping clients find the most effective means to establish both their living and lasting legacies nationwide. You've seen Brandon on my weekly broadcast, Global Financial Reset. Brandon and I'll be turning the airwaves over to Brandon in just a moment. I want to set the stage so you understand what we're doing here. These will be relatively short episodes published by JMC Broadcasting, distributed throughout our network. Again, attention retirees, it's predominantly for those in retirement. Brandon is a retirement planning specialist who focuses on safety, safe growth, tax-deferred growth, and guaranteed income programs, things that are very important for retirees. It's widely known in the insurance-based financial planning world, if you will, that there are two concerns facing retirees today. I'll add the third. Two concerns. One, of course, is health. Second, of course, is wealth, maintaining standard of living through retirement, not running out of income. And the third one, of course, is surviving and thriving during the danger zone of this global financial reset. Just to get all this stuff on the record and out of the way, folks, these are the sites you want to bookmark. You want to bookmark triadretire.com. You want to bookmark wealthcoachuniversity.com, which, by the way, this series, educational series for retirees, strategies for retirees, will be archived on wealthcoachuniversity.com for future reference. Getting a few of the housekeeping items out of the way before we bring Brandon on to discuss this introductory broadcast is, let's see what else I'd like to bring to your attention. Yeah, all right. This will be a multi-part weekly educational series, again, titled Strategies for Retirees, where we'll be covering solutions for the escalating crisis, addressing those concerns for those close to retirement, and again, those already in retirement. As I've stated before on my military panels, chaos without clarity, problems without solutions is fear porn. That's not where we go with our military and intelligence and economic reporting. And this is all about solutions to the escalating crisis. So long-winded intro, but this is important. It just sets up the series that Brandon and I will be covering. Retirees that are looking for market indexed growth with zero downside risk, and those looking to secure a guaranteed income you can never outlive is really what this series will be all about. So today will serve just as a brief introduction to Brandon Clarke, triadretire.com. Brandon's going to share with us his 40,000-foot view of what we will be discussing sort of as an outline today over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Having laid that groundwork down for this series, welcome from North Carolina, Brandon Clarke. How you doing? My morning, your evening. How you doing, sir?
John, I'm doing great. It is an honor to be here and happy to kick this off to help show people an avenue they can use in retirement to address their concerns.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I'll steer the boat with some questions. There's one more thing I failed to mention. It keeps slipping away. It'll pop back in and I'll share it with the audience. But anyway, let's, oh yes, I have wealthcoachuniversity.com. I've talked about on the Global Financial Reset broadcast that I have a resource network. Well, Brandon is a part of that resource network. The resource network is expanding a bit right now. We'll be bringing some healthcare experts in for you. Very important for retirees as well, very important for all of us. So the resource network presently consists of Brandon, retirement planning specialist, as I've just laid out, Bill Armour on the gold and silver side, and there'll be some health experts and some other experts I'll be bringing in. So that's part of my resource network, and I appreciate the years of experience and knowledge that Brandon has. So let's jump right into this. First, I'd like to have you weigh in, Brandon. Let's discuss. Let's say this: many people, not all, but many economists the world over, and many people even in our circle, have great concerns about the bond collapse. And people are also concerned that that could be systemic and the stock will collapse. A lot of folks in our movement feel that that whole system will be demolished by design so that we can then usher in, get rid of the corruption and usher in new currency, new banking, et cetera, et cetera. No one has a crystal ball. Brandon and I, folks, we didn't get the memo from President Trump this morning. So nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen. But there's enough chatter and enough concern out there that not only will there be a problem in the municipal bond area, but there could be a problem in the stock market. So better a little caution than a great regret. I'd like to begin, Brandon, for you to briefly discuss the safety layers for the insurance companies that you represent. By the way, Brandon is independent. He's not what we call a captive agent serving just one company. He can click a button and access all the top carriers and get the best product for your situation. So, having stated that, talk with us, Brandon, if you will, please, about the safety levels. If bonds are going to collapse, stocks might collapse. By the way, everything will change later and markets will come back. But during this danger zone, what are the layers of protections your clients in the products that you offer to them have in the insurance world?
So briefly, the insurance companies are set up to be the strongest financial company around. They're regulated heavily by multiple rating agencies,
Mhm.
mostly on a quarterly basis. And they also are required to keep assets on hand to cover liabilities, to pay out death benefits, claims. Unlike fractional banking, they must keep 100%. They also are required to have reinsurance in place. Many have, been around for prior to the Great Depression even. And
Mhm.
so they have gone through many economic downturns. They invest very heavily in long-term safe areas. Another factor is that each is required to be a member of the State Guarantee Association in any state where they issue an annuity or a plan to cover up to 250,000 per company. So they layer these in place to ensure that there is zero chance, close to zero as possible, to any default occurring, or any client that has a lifetime guaranteed income plan or a guaranteed growth plan in place, to where they will be, that money will be safe for life, no matter if we have an economic downturn in the equity or the bond areas.
Excellent. So, folks, we don't have any bells and whistles in production today due to unavailability of our producer. We hope to bring a producer in as this series continues so we can put some charts, some graphics, and some things up there for you to take a peek at. So right now, I will serve as that. Here are the bullets that would flash across the screen of what Brandon just shared with you. We're talking about the layers of protection. One, the independent rating agencies that rate the health and strength of insurance companies, health, life, and annuity companies, on it, which I've just learned on a quarterly basis, which is very important rather than waiting an entire year. So that's important. You've got the independent agencies. So let's just break down each of these briefly. The uh, Last I knew, there were about three, four, five agencies that rate these insurers. And there's a scale, right? A minus, B plus, C, D. Oh, you're independent. Let's talk about that. So you're not working with one company. Explain to our viewers how you shop, if you will, for the best product for them and how the ratings play a role in that. We're talking safety here, folks.
Yeah, so we have a software in place, and you can, take put in companies, take out companies. You're able to look at any company that offers a guaranteed income plan. But all of the carriers that I represent are A rated. I have one that's a B plus plus, but it has an A rating from two other rating agencies, which was the most recent one. But all of them have over 30 billion in assets. They all have a at least a 100% or higher solvency ratio. So the key is to make sure that myself, I vet the companies, I vet how they do their investments, which they publicize that, and then also to choose, very strong carriers that once I get, like I say, a top three of whoever's going to be paying out the highest guaranteed income, I want to share that with the client. They may have had something in the past with one or the other. There's Nationwide, Prudential, the list goes on of the companies I represent, but sometimes people have had a very good experience or bad one. So that's part of it too, is allowing them to see who those companies are and putting them against that and know that we're not going to pigeonhole them. We have different companies that we can use. We want to put them in the best situation, but every single company that I have a client with has not defaulted on a single client before for an annuity. So that is very important, and that goes into our search.
Thank you. Yes. So, folks, we're talking about the safety factor. Brandon mentioned earlier, and for full disclosure, and folks that have been following me or read my biography on my website and so forth understand that I used to be a financial advisor, so I'm not up to date as Brandon is because it's been many, many years, but I know the questions to ask. So, the Brandon, it used to be, you mentioned the State Guarantee Association just a few moments ago as an additional layer of protection. So you've got the A ratings, companies have been in business 50, 100, 150 years that have already stood the test of time from 1929 crash to, the 80s debacle, the S&L loan through 08, 09, and now the big one coming. Um, so the State Guarantee Association, it used to be minimum. And to explain that to the audience, every insurer is domiciled in a certain state, and that state has a requirement. It used to be, Brandon, dollar for dollar. What we mean by that, folks, is every dollar you invested in an insurance product, health, life, or annuity, they are required by insurance regulation to put at least a dollar into that state reserve pool so that in the event an insurer did run into trouble, did collapse, which rarely happens, and it's happened a few times in history, the state guarantee would guarantee up to a certain amount per contract. Is it still, to the best of your knowledge, a minimum of dollar for dollar? I know some carriers even put more. Is it still pretty much the same situation?
Yes, I believe so. Per company, up to 250,000 per company per owner. So, and we even had a client recently that did 250,000 with two separate companies.
Gotcha.
That was just the most recent one, but that's part of it. The companies, though, they offer these annuities primarily up to 1 million a piece.
Mhm.
And they do back them, with sound investments, with the liabilities that they keep on hand to in order for protection.
Excellent. So, what we're going to be doing, folks, this will be a weekly series. Today, we're introducing, and in some cases, reintroducing Brandon Clarke to you, and letting you know that if you're in retirement or very close to it, these are very important critical stages. If you're close to retirement and you lose your nest egg in getting caught in this reset, the battle for money supremacy and so forth. Um, Boy, oh boy, what a stressful situation that would be, right? But again, no, not fear and chaos, solutions. That's what we're focusing on. You don't want to lose that nest egg when you're ready to retire a year or two from now. You don't have to if you understand the pieces. Second, for those in retirement, well, you already know. If you lose what's spitting income out for you, um, you got to go back to work. Nobody wants to do that. So anyway, so very important, very niche focused. And it ties right into what we're doing here, folks that have been following me at wealthcoachuniversity.com. We have 10 free video modules I produced a year ago. They're evergreen modules. One of them is guaranteed income. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that out of the goots, get out of the system model, and we're highlighting it with Brandon Clarke. We're highlighting that module on guaranteed income, and that's what we'll be doing, breaking it down one segment at a time as not to overwhelm everybody, to educate you over the next 6 to 8 weeks and then inspire you to take action. And action is simple. Brandon offers free consultation. He'll take your phone call, mention my name, mention you saw this series. You'll get to the top of his calendar, and and he'll go through the process that a licensed retirement specialist would go through, asking you all the proper questions, and then educating you and showing you illustrations and numbers and so forth to run. So we'll be getting into all that a bit down the road. We're pretty much going to wrap this up right now. It's just an introduction. What we're talking about are safe alternatives to stock market indexed growth and ways to get guaranteed income. In speaking with Brandon over the last several months, that's pretty much what, pardon me, the value he focuses on. So, in closing, Brandon, from a 40,000 foot view, spend a minute or two on what is market indexed growth and how does that work? And then we'll do the same for guaranteed income. Again, just a couple of 3 minutes on each. Let's begin with what do I mean when I say market index growth with no downside? What does that mean?
So each client that I meet with, we do an overall plan. And one of the things I like about Wealth Coach University is, we want you diversified. We have a precious metal specialist, we have, specialists for different areas.
Mhm.
So whenever I meet someone for guaranteed growth, this is a plan that allows a client to get interest credited annually. It's not a everyday move up and down type of
Mhm.
credit. You get credited annually based on how the index, say, for example, the S&P 500, that a lot of people know, that's one that's
Mhm.
used a lot. You get credited interest at the end of a year based on that growth over time. The money, though, is not internally in the market. It has been moved from, say, one IRA or 401k to a new IRA, and it's put into a fixed indexed annuity that credits interest annually based on that growth. The positives are if we have a market downturn and you're in retirement and you need to access funds, there will be no loss that occurs.
There you
If
go.
we have years that go up, we will see growth, in those years, and you get credited interest based on that.
Mhm.
Our main goal is to get 5, 6, 7%, potentially higher if the market continues doing better as it's been doing. But, if you look long term over 20, 30 years of retirement and you're gaining money every single year, but you never have a downturn, that's really where you're in a good spot. A lot of times as well, I don't personally do in the market accounts. So if someone puts a bucket of their money into one of these guaranteed growth accounts and there is a loss in the market, then this is an area where they can pull funds from that are not at a loss. So you can give time for those losses to come back up. In retirement, we want to be de-risked, but we want to continue growing funds. So what this does is allow you to do both of those and sleep well at night. for example. But like I said, this is, primarily for a portion of the assets to help you diversify, to help you know that if we have downturns or upturns, you're going to be in a good spot.
Excellent. Well, and again, folks, in the future broadcast, when we highlight this, we'll sort of do an MRI. We'll get into more granular on that in future episodes. This is just an introduction of where we're heading. Folks, we're talking about your safe money. Sure, and every case is different. And by the way, we're not giving any specific investment advice, especially me, but each of us on these broadcasts. This is for educational purposes only. We're speaking in broad senses. When you meet with Brandon one-on-one, he will go over the plan designs and the illustrations and the disclosures and everything with you. But the broad view as we wrap this broadcast up right now is this is your safe money. Some folks, if you've been blessed, fortunate enough, worked hard enough, or wise enough to actually be able to accumulate a retirement account, hats off to you because the whole system is set up that you don't between taxes, inflation, and corruption. Last time I checked, if you walked into an auditorium, if Brandon was holding a public speech to 300 people, and he got on the stage and said to the audience, how many people by a show of hands believe that Wall Street and the banks have your best interest in mind? Not one hand would go up and the room would be laughing. So the sentiment is the people have woken up, the sentiment has changed, and it's up to us to take responsibility. So, what I'm saying in conclusion, those that have accumulated assets, and by the way, these plans, and Brandon will we'll go over this in future series, can be for IRA money, 401k rollovers, can be non IRA money. We'll break all that down later. But basically, what we're talking about here is you have those that have been following our broadcast know about the 9 ISO compliant cryptos. There's an opportunity for some hugely potential growth later. Then you have gold and silver. There's your hedge against the dollar debacle, inflation. It's liquid, and we know the story there of explosive growth that's set ahead due to the bank naked shorts coming to an end. Then you have your safe money, which is where Brandon comes in. So, is an art and a science to all this. Please visit wealthcoachuniversity.com, go through the 10 free video modules, and continue to follow this weekly series until we've gone through it all. Each episode will build upon the other. We will talk about annuities, annuity types, guaranteed income plans, deferral aspects, how to get an eight. Is it right? You can even park money at an 8% bucket, right, Brandon, for a bit, and then convert it over. We're going to break all these strategies down later, but I think we'll just conclude well, let's go into, before we do, briefly comment, Brandon, on the guaranteed income thing. Give them a sprinkle of what that's all about. I mean, who doesn't want guaranteed income in retirement?
Yeah, and I would say the two main concerns that retirees have is not losing money, which we just discussed
Mhm.
that part, and then having money last as long as you live. Because with if a market downturn occurs or if you don't have income to cover bills and you have to pull additional money out. So yeah, the main thing we do in planning is to go over someone's fixed expenses, see what they have coming in through Social Security, pensions, other areas, and then we at least want to meet that fixed expense in their monthly fixed expense through a guaranteed income plan. It just helps you at the beginning of each month know you have that covered, you have peace of mind, lower stress. There's many strategies, I mean, many surveys that have shown that, and that will allow you to live longer as well. But what the plans do, an annuity is the only plan that does guarantee an income for life. We strategize to put the amount of income in place that you need, not just as much as we can get. We want to put what is what you need, what fits for you, and then you keep your other assets in other places. But yes, they're flexible in the fact that you can do if someone has a lump sum, they can do an immediate payout starting, or you can defer 1 year, 2 years. You may match it to when you stop working. You may, for some reason, say, let's wait 2, 3 years because I have other income sources, and that will allow you to get more per month, just like delaying Social Security. So all of this will go into more in depth, but those two plans really help people solve those concerns in retirement of not running out of money and not losing money.
Excellent. So we'll break down in the future episodes the freedoms, benefits, and restrictions concerning the various different types of annuities. We'll also cover and so forth. So Brandon Clarke is on the East Coast. So for those because we got audience all over the place, on the East Coast in North Carolina, triadretire.com. What's the phone number and the best way that for people to reach out to you to get on your calendar for a free consult?
Yeah, so if you go to triadretire.com, I've made it a very simple site, and so you're able just to book a consultation on there. You can put in the notes, if you prefer a Zoom call or a telephone call to start out with. I'm happy with either one. And then there's also a little note section, so you can put some information if you'd like to. Also, my phone number, you can call, leave me a message, and I will respond as quick as I can between appointments, but that is 336-265-7263. So those are two very easy ways. I will be quick getting back with you to go over, each person's need.
Excellent. Thank you. And on the weekly Global Financial Reset live show that I host and produce, you'll see Brandon periodically as a guest there, and we may run certain clips from this on that broadcast to let the rest of the audience who follows our work know of these benefits. Again, attention retirees, that's what this is all about. It's very niche focused. These programs may not be the best for everybody, but they certainly have their place for those close to retirement and those in retirement. And we're going to be breaking all this down over the next 6 to 8 weeks. I want to thank our audience for tuning in. If you have any questions, you know how to reach Brandon. Thank you, Brandon Clarke, and we'll be back next week as we comb through this curriculum educational series for retirees. Thank you very much.
Join JMC Broadcasting's monthly Global Defense War Military Panel. JMC hosts an esteemed panel of military experts, including Ricardo Bosi, Tom Lennox, Chuck Sellers, Michael Jaco, Derek Johnson, Brad Wozni, and other military guests. Join us each month, where this panel of esteemed guests analyze the current events across a broad spectrum of topics, addressing the questions and concerns that you have. Subscribe for free by visiting jmcbroadcasting.com. John looks forward to seeing you at the next episode of the Global Defense War Military Panel broadcast, right here on jmcbroadcasting.com.